Hello everyone, Mel here with the first mission of the actual campaign. This game made a big impression on me from the first time I played it 15 years ago, and the campaign was a major part of that. From the very first cinematic, it's quite well written, quite well done, and very engaging and fun to play, particularly on Titan difficulty. So here's the beginning of the original campaign, Fall of the Trident.
That looked like Theris. It has been a long time since you sent him to the underworld, Arcantos. Fighting old battles again?
Yes,
Theris later.
Old enemies. I still see them here.
You have won more battles for Atlantis than can be counted, faced opponents no other man dared fight.
That was long ago. Today, Atlantis' enemies live only in my dreams. I face feeble pirates now.
Is that what you believe, Atlantean? Atlantis still has enemies, and you are still the one who will face them.
Any who threaten my home or my family will soon have a place in my dreams.
These are enemies unlike the others, Arcantos. Do not let your guard down. Dark times are coming, and you are needed. Arcantos, awaken.
Admiral, sir.
Yes?
We've sighted land on the horizon. We should reach Atlantis soon.
Excellent. It will be good to see my son Castor again.
Some excellent, elegant character development in just a few seconds there. We learned so much about him.
You cannot ignore the Omens, Arcantos. Lord Poseidon's displeasure is clear. We must help break the siege at Troy.
Troops we send now will be lucky to arrive before the fight is over. Even if they do, their only task will be to show the banner of Atlantis, not a task for an admiral.
It would shame Agamemnon if we sent one of your junior officers. He already complains that we do not pay enough attention to the Greek colonies. No, it must be you.
I like the sinister music swell there. Goes up to this very well.
What in the name of... Castor, stay here! Get those Petroboli up here.
Okay, saving that toxicity. Alright. Immediate crisis resolved. This Kraken will just sit there and do nothing. So we have a few seconds here to look around. You can see the gigantic impressive city of Atlantis here.
Arcantos is a hero, and very effective at killing myth units such as the Kraken.
We can listen to Athena give the tutorial. And we can see Castor up here, who will be a character later on. Arcantos' son, who we mentioned. These in-game descriptions here give us quite a lot of interesting information about the characters and about, history and mythological backgrounds for different monsters, human soldiers, and so forth. Plus, we're going to find out stats that are not given in the summary at the bottom of the screen here. Here's the Theocrat, who will be a character later on too. So immediately, the character of the state of Atlantis is being developed rather rapidly too. Alright, so I'll leave that toxicities there, and start training some peasants here. It's always important to get your economy off on a good start. So here we have granaries, which I mentioned I couldn't show in the tutorial. Granaries, like town centers, are places peasants can drop off food at. I'm going to just put these people lazily on farms and do the farming upgrades. Down here is a storehouse where people can drop off wood and lumber, so do the economic upgrades there. And as I mentioned before, it's good to build new storehouses much closer to your sources of the resources. It's well worth the initial cost. So I've told this town hall to continuously produce peasants, and it'll do so until they have enough gathering food that they can keep doing so indefinitely. A group of these troops here, a group of Arcantos. These three are Petropoli. They're catapults, good against sinking ships and destroying buildings, so there's no buildings in this one. And it's often good to make your buildings a control group too, so you can order them to queue up new troops while battle continues. On this level, mostly toxins. Which are these archers. They're fairly generic, ordinary archers in this game. Middle of the group. Down here we have other buildings I'll be using later on, but for now I just want to get more people gathering them, so I can keep training more toxins.
We should prepare ourselves.
Archers in this game in general cost a large amount of wood and a small amount of gold. You can see here if we check that toxicities costs 55 and 35. We'll make these new guys part of the same control group. Let me tell both barracks to train their troops to this location. Town Center will keep producing more villagers.
Can be trained at the
And let's get ready for the
archery
next wave. So, we have about 6 waves of enemies to fight here. It's not time-based, it's based on when you defeat the last wave. So, there's no reason you can't just take your time if you want to. Just, leave one enemy alive, like that Kraken. In the meantime, building up a good economy here. Get more people onto lumber, get some people onto gold. Once I have more resources, I can start doing other upgrades, like this upgrade to let me harvest lumber even faster. The economic upgrades, although the game doesn't tell you directly, generally give plus 10% resource gathering. There are a few that are bugged, there are a few that are better than that, but that's the usual pattern. So, pirate ships, which are both transports and fighters. So important to have catapults ready to sink them. And our cantos ready to intercept whatever it drops off. And I will tell these archer rangers to keep training more toxicities continuously. Okay, so order catapults to sink that, order toxins to attack these axemen, and our cantos to move in so we can take. Last thing we want is for the ship to be shooting those toxins because they're quite vulnerable. So the catapults can sink them with a few shots if they hit. There's our cantos to shout, which is what we got before. Powers up all nearby troops. Okay. Alright, I've got more than enough people on wood. Let me shift this to training people to go get gold. Let me shift some of the lumber people over to gold for the time being.
Several villagers are working in town west of the harbour. If you are running out of a particular resource, you should consider retasking
It's good to be ready to
them
shift
together.
villagers around from resource to resource as you need to. I'm fairly lazy about that myself. You should just train more villagers instead, but it's a good habit to get into. And I want to do the shaft mine upgrade so I can get faster gold too. Can't have too many archers. Alright, so let's have a look at this Kraken. It's not unusual for Mythium to have nearly 1,000 hit points and high armor. If Toxins attack it, they'll be attacking it for like 5 or 10 minutes trying to kill it. But if our Canto starts smacking with his alleged 10 damage, he'll actually deal about 100 or so per shot. Maybe more like 50 because of its high armor. Oh, meanwhile, there's a landing over there. How my Metropolis? I go stick that. Oh, okay, landing party. So our Candles stay here fight the Kraken. The catapults will sink the ship. The Toxicities will fight the human soldiers. Everyone's doing their specialty. The Candles is finished. Alright, catapults can now sink this ship. Archers made short work with those infantry. Archers in this game are usually good against infantry of all varieties. That's just a general principle. Infantry are good against cavalry, cavalry are good against archers, so it's rock, paper, scissors. There's more to it than that, but that's a general pattern. Meanwhile, I already see I'm getting close to my population cap, so I'll start building those houses preemptively. Once I have. There.
Good work, but keep your eyes open.
It's good to be one step ahead of those requirements if you can.
Arcantos, do not forget to call upon your god powers. Your god powers are located in the
lumber
top
for
center
this?
of the screen. Use the rain god power to help your farms
Might as
produce
well
more
use that.
food.
Yeah, we'll just cancel one of these toxicities for a moment here. So I can do the upgrade instead. Okay.
Another Kraken headed for the shore!
Kraken, that's not a big worry. We can just intercept those all day, as long as we keep the toxicities out of reach. Krakens instantly kill human soldiers or ships, so we'll have only our Cantos fight them. Meanwhile, I've got enough food and gold stored up that I can start doing these upgrades here. That rain god power activated triples your food income from farms only. It's usually an Egyptian-only power, but they play things fast and loose in the early campaign. Those are slingers down there, which are unfortunately good against archers, so we're going to take one casualty here, but it shouldn't be too difficult. Meanwhile, I can do an upgrade here, improve all my archers to medium archers. Most generic human soldiers have to be upgraded to from normal to medium, then heavy, then champion, increasing their HP and their damage. Leave our Cantos to fight that, gather up these toxicities. I do not have as many as I'd like to, because this barracks has been doing this upgrade instead. I've got more than enough peasants here. Probably produce more than I should have, actually. Let me do the next armor upgrades. So these armor upgrades here, they say that they work on human soldiers and ships. They also work on buildings and secretly on heroes. And in fact, they're most effective on heroes.
Get ready, everyone.
So Arcantus' armor here is
This
going to go 50% to better than that
Λέγε.
soon.
Έτοιμος. Λέγε. Έστω.
Fair peasant over there.
Ρητόμος.
Get lumber, I guess. Yes, a bit more than enough peasants.
Upgrading the weapons and armor of your
So
units
one
at
important
the
thing is you can
armory.
actually delete units you don't need, which I didn't know for the longest time. Just click the delete key, dead. Very useful. Frees up population space in this case. I don't need any of these people, so I'm just going to delete them all because I have all the food we need for the whole rest of the mission.
Ναι. Ναι. Βούλομαι.
Might as well order them to drop off the food they have first. We just do by right click the building like that.
Ναι. Έστω.
So-
Ναι.
Drop it off. Delete them. That's more archers. I actually have plenty of people on lumber, so I'm going to delete those guys too. Now again, you will not see me do that during normal missions where you can't get like enough peasants, but here where I have too many, might as well.
Pirates!
Okay, so you see there's no flag on that ship, but there is a flag on that ship. Ones with flags, much like buildings with flags, have troops inside. So I can send these Petropoli here alone to take down that ship. We'll do that easily, but I need Arcantos here to intercept these guys. He didn't do a great job, they ended up aggroing onto the archers instead, but that's all. Just take a few casualties, I can replace them effortlessly. Those injuries will at least show off one of my god powers a bit later on in this mission anyway.
Λέγε.
Let's take a moment to look around the harbor. So we have this giant statue of Poseidon, let's look at that. So I want to just point out here, for the record, that Atlantis was not actually part of Greek mythology, it was just made up by Plato as a thought experiment in one of his dialogues, Timaeus, another one, Critias. So if I say mythological Atlantis from now on, I actually made Atlantis as made up by Plato to make a point.
Use the restoration
So
god
mythological
power
Atlantis,
to
as
heal
in
your
written by
units
Plato,
and mend
was
your
indeed
buildings.
favored by Poseidon, and that's where they got the whole idea from.
Έτοιμος. Πρόσταγμα. Βούλομαι.
Okay, so restoration god power is to be demonstrated here. See these HP bars over people's heads? That means they're badly injured in this case, right? But the restoration god power massively heals all buildings and troops in a big area. It'll heal just about any human soldier from 0 to full. And most buildings will be massively healed too. But if you do it while in combat, the effect is greatly decreased. It can still be worthwhile sometimes because it can turn the tide of battle, but it's something to watch out. Alright, 2 leagues away. So 2 more wings. I've got all the upgrades. I've got maximum population here, can't build any more houses.
Another
So there's really not much for me to do, but just wait it out, mow down the last few enemies. Here comes Kraken, here come more importantly the landing ships.
A black sail
So I'll be ready to deal with those, because the Kraken can't threaten any of my docks, which I don't need to do anything. It'd be nice if one could sink these ships as they arrive, but that's really not feasible because catapults can't hit targets in motion. Very important to know that.
Πρόσταγμα. Εισβολή.
That is a Scorpion man, a rather dangerous mechanic for these human soldiers, so have them focus it down fast. They can take them to humans easily enough.
Λέγε.
Catapult, sink those ships.
Έτοιμος. Ναι.
Arcantus can go fight that Kraken.
Πρόσταγμα. Βούλομαι.
And I'm not actually going to send anybody else to fight that Kraken, due to a little surprise, which I'll be telling you about in a couple of minutes here.
Πρόσταγμα.
Ooh, idle villagers.
Αιγέστο. Θρητόμος.
Always good to keep an eye on that flag, make sure you don't have any idols.
Έτοιμος.
Okay, so when my buildings die,
Εισβολή. Εισβολή.
they spawn these useless little militia units, because I'm playing as Poseidon. That's one of the perks of Poseidon. Your buildings die, you get several militia. They take up population spots and are less than worthless in the fight rate, so can't say they're much of a perk, but they will be a nuisance in later campaign.
Πρόσταγμα.
Good to know about it. Now, you can see also Arcantus takes almost no damage from the Kraken, despite it having, nominally massive attack. Again, it's because he's a hero. Okay, we need to hustle Arcantus over here, because he's only 1 league away, and something is going to happen. Or 2 things, actually. Not fast enough. His Lightning Storm God power will wreck any soldiers you have in this area. That's why I ran everyone east beforehand. And if you have any villagers here, they'll be wiped out by this plague of locusts God power. This does not happen except in Titan difficulty. It's a nasty surprise. Castor was killed, Theocrat will usually be killed, doesn't matter, because campaign heroes like Castor and Arcantos get revived anytime they die as long as you move your troops back into their area. Choose ships by the statue here, and here comes the landing party, here comes everything. Alright, sink that ship,
Πάνε.
take down these troops. Gonna take a couple casualties, again, won't really matter. And now the Atlantean army has arrived. Up here,
Λέγε.
I'll make them take it forward, order them to attack, move down. At this point, the mission's in the bag, so I'm gonna get kind of scared. Let's just order them to attack, move in. Might as well control your developers, they're easy to select. These guys are finished, I can order them to join the fight. Can't just take that down. Archers fight over there. Metropoli, whatever. Go for the Kraken, I guess. So you can see these two pirates taking up residence near the statue of Poseidon, which notice has a trident. It's going to matter in a couple of seconds. Order the Toxies out of reach of that Kraken to get free kills. It is often hard to order Landians like Orcantos to fight sea myths. You can see he's kind of mills about. But meanwhile, the army of Atlantis has made short work of those enemies. Trapple to sink those ships. And the last enemies flee.
The black sails are fleeing.
That's the first mission, easily done.
To overrun Atlantis.
The campaign will get more difficult later on, though most of the true challenges wait for the Titans expansion. Here's the final cinematic. Suddenly we have fishing ships for some reason, and the Trident's missing.
Another message from Poseidon, Arcantos. His creatures help the pirates.
Father, they stole the Trident! What?
Yes, it was stolen during the fighting.
Kamos.
There could not
We
be
heard
a clearer
Kamos mentioned
sign,
during the
Arcantos.
tutorial.
We are losing Poseidon's favor. We must act.
I will go to Troy as you ask. I'm going to get that Trident back on the way. Zethos! Take supplies aboard and get the men together. We're setting sail. Can I come? No, I need you here in case they come back. Don't worry. This errand will not take long.
I always like both parts of that line. Alright, that wraps up the first mission. Have a good day.